Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about different approaches for creating assignments in your Canvas course. And this is geared towards people who are maybe newer to Canvas, who are creating course content, maybe for the first time. We're going to look at 3 different approaches for creating those assignments and which approach is the best. And it really is going to depend on your workflow and your procedures for putting content into your Canvas course. And if you stick to the end, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for actually formatting the assignment page. So let's dive right in. Here I have a blank course in front of us, and I want to put some assignments in there. And so we're going to do, the first thing is on the course navigation menu right here, we're going to click on assignments. And so this is kind of the low-hanging fruit. This is where, as students are navigating through the course, they would see a list of the assignments that they need to do with the due dates. And for you as an instructor, you're going to see a list of all the assignments that you've created for the class. You'll be able to see the due dates, the point values, things like that, whether it's published or unpublished. This is just a dummy course, so I don't have any assignments published, so a student wouldn't actually be able to see any assignments. But if I wanted to create an assignment, you can see I have various on here. I'm going to click on this big blue button right here, and it says assignment. And this is where I can put in my details. So I have my assignment name, I have the instructions right here, and then you're going to assign the points, the assignment group, and also the display grade as. You want to as either points. That's probably going to be the most common, is you're going to award 18 points out of 20, or you're going to say they earned 75 out of 100. You can also break that down to percentage. They got a certain percentage complete or incomplete, so that means they either pass or they fail. If they do the assignment, they get credit for it, and they'll get the full points. If not, then they don't get the points. And there are other options right here as well. Now, the submission type, typically, if you're teaching an online course, you're going to put online. If you're teaching a blended or face-to-face course, then that depends if you want them to submit something or if you want them to actually hand something in class in person. So you would have either online or on paper. No submission means it's not going to feed back to the gradebook. And external tools, if you have an LTI app, then you would use that. And you can have students either write out their assignment right into Canvas, or you can have them post a URL to a website, such as a YouTube video or a blog that they created. You can have them upload videos or audios, and you can have file uploads, which is very common. And so you can say that students will upload a Word document or a PDF or PowerPoint slides, and you can specify that right here. And if you restrict the file types, you say, I only want to receive PDF, not a Word doc, or it has to be a PowerPoint presentation or a PowerPoint show. Then you would specify that file type right here. Or if you want them to be able to submit whatever, then you just uncheck that. And so they just submit their file in whatever format. Do you want them to have a limited number of attempts? Perhaps you want them to have a limit of 1. They get 1 shot to submit this assignment. Or you can say, I want them to have 3 attempts, perhaps. In that case, you can change that from unlimited to limited. If you do unlimited, then they just can resubmit as much as they need to. And you can choose which submission then you'd want to grade. Typically, it would be the latest that they submit. You can say if this is a group assignment, and then right now I don't have a group set, but you'd have to create groups such as the class debates or the Unit 8 group assignment or a capstone project that's collaborative. So you'd put the group name together, and then you can create the groups. You'd usually do that in the People's tab, but you can get started here on the assignment page. And I'm going to say, no, this isn't a group assignment. You can do peer reviews, anonymous grading, and so that's all great. If this is an assignment for the entire class, which typically it is, then you'll also put a due date, and so you can say this is due by Friday, December 6th, or it could be Sunday, well, not Sunday, December 25th. That would be horrible of you to assign something on that day. But you would put the assignment dates, you can specify a time, and you can even lock the assignment until a certain time, and then you can close it after a certain time. So you can give them a window in which they can access the instructions for the assignment and submit it. Or if you leave those blank, then it'll just be available throughout the duration of the semester. And I don't have students in this course, but if I had a student who needed accommodations, then I could specify I could assign this as a due date to everybody, and then I could add another due date for a specific student in the class, such as if they need reasonable accommodations, I might give them an extra 24 or 48 hours. And so that would be assigned to them specifically, and in the gradebook, they would have a different due date than the rest of the class. And you notice that I have different local and course times for this assignment, and that's because this course is set to a different time zone than where I am currently. I'm on the Eastern Coast, and so this looks like it's set to Mountain Time, perhaps 2 hours different. And so you want to be mindful of that as well as you're setting up the due dates, that it corresponds with the course. So if I intend for this to be due at 10 p.m. on Sunday, December 11th, for example, then that's the course, because some students might be in Hawaii, others might be on the East Coast, some might be in Africa or South Korea or Ireland. And so you want to make sure that that course is set correctly. And when I have that, I can save it. So right now I can save it as a draft. I'm going to have to put an assignment name at least, and then I can save it as a draft. And that assignment would be in draft state until I publish it, which means the students can't see it, but you would be able to go back and edit things and at least get it started and then come back and fill in the details. And so I'd go ahead and save that. If I have all of the assignment written up, all the details in there, then I can go ahead and save and publish that. If not, when I save it, I'll have the option to publish as soon as I'm ready. And so this is the first approach for creating an assignment, is actually in the course navigation on the assignments page. And this is a collection of all of the assignments. Now, if it's a discussion assignment, meaning it has a threaded discussion component to it, then I can create that on the discussions page. And here's where I can have my discussions. I would go add discussion. And when you add a discussion, it'll appear on the discussions page, but it'll also appear on the assignments page in a special section called discussions. So this is the first approach for creating an assignment. The next approach would be to go to the modules page. Now right now I don't have any modules, but a module is a progression. The modules page is a progression of the course. You go in sequence, so you'd have module 1, module 2, module 3, and typically that corresponds with a week in time, but it can be however you set it up. You might have a module that spans 2 weeks in your course, or you might have 2 modules in 1 week. It just depends on how you want that. I don't have any modules, and so I can go ahead and create a module. So I can say module 1 course overview. I would add a module, and from here I can add different elements. I can add assignments if I've already created them, or I can create a new assignment, which I'll show you in a second. And also if I have pages, discussions, if I have quizzes, then I can put those into my module. So I'm going to take a break and I'm going to fill in this content for us, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I just put in a couple of modules in here, and each module has some pages, it has some assignments, and so I'll have an overview, readings and assignments, and I want to put an assignment in this module. And you might start out even just with a plain module, so module 1, module 2, and then you go from there. Now in my courses, each module, I typically do a module overview. That's where I put a video where I explain what's due for the week, and then I outline the readings and assignments with the rubrics, and then I have other components in the class. And so suppose I want to put an assignment in there. I'm going to click on this plus button in the upper right hand corner of the module where I want the assignment. And here, if I've already created an assignment, I can just pull from one of those. Suppose I went to the assignments page, like the first method we looked at, and I created all the assignments, or at least the titles for the assignments, and then I could pull those titles right here. If not, I can create an assignment right here. So I could say, this could be the module lab. And so maybe each week I'm going to have them participate in a lab, and I can go ahead and add the item. I might even specify and say module 1 lab, and then add the item, and it's going to put it at the bottom of the module. And from here, I can go ahead and move that to somewhere else. Suppose I want the lab to be in front of the reflection activity and behind the written assignment. I can drag and drop those pretty easily. I can also drag and drop these to a different module altogether. And finally, I can take this assignment that I created. If I put it in the wrong module, then I can just move that to a different module. So I click on Move To, and I could say I want that in module 2 at the top, or maybe I want it before a certain page or after a certain page at the bottom. In this case, I'll put it after the readings and assignment, and then I can click Move, and that will move that assignment to a different module. Now I have the module 1 lab. I can have the same assignment appear in multiple modules as well. If I click on the module 2, for example, and go to assignments, then I can have module 1 lab right there. Now it's not going to be due 2 different times. It's only going to have 1 due date and 1 spot in the grade book, but maybe I can refer to the same assignment in multiple instances throughout the modules. Which brings me to an interesting point that if you were to remove one of these items from a module by clicking on the kebab icon over here and put remove, that's not the same as deleting an assignment. To delete assignment, you actually need to go into the assignments page in the course navigation, and you would have to delete it from this page because the module is only displaying content of the course. It's not where I manage it. It's just where I can have students click on things. It's kind of like a table of contents. You can delete an item from a table of contents, but that doesn't delete it in the body of the work. And so here, if I wanted to delete this, that's delete. It's different than remove that we saw in the modules. This would delete it. And if I click on this, it's going to give me a notice up here. Are you sure you want to delete the assignment? It's like, well, actually, I don't want to delete that one. But if I click on remove, then it's going to say, are you wanting to remove this item from the module? It's not going to delete it from the course. The due date is still there. If I put the date and the amount of points, it's still going to register in the gradebook, but I'm just removing it from the module. And if that was an accident and I want to redo that, then I still have the assignment right there. And I can add it in, it drops it at the bottom, and then I'm just going to put it where I want it in the module. And so this is a great way that you can go into the modules. You can go module by module, first create the modules in your course, and then you can go and create placeholder assignments. And so I'm going to create an assignment, and this would be, maybe it's the module 2 lab. And so I can go and add that item, and it just adds a placeholder for now. And then I can move this where I want it, move these things around. Maybe I want the reflection activity down at the bottom. Now when I click on this, it's going to be just a blank page. It's a blank assignment. There are no details, no points. That's where I'd go in and edit. So the modules is a good way to go sequentially throughout the progress of the course, and you can enter placeholder for your assignment where you can go in. And so that's a good sequential way to create at least the placeholders for your assignments. And then here I would put in my content and all of the details that we talked about in the previous one. So that's two approaches for creating an assignment. One is create the assignment, assignment by assignment, on the assignments tab in the course navigation. The other is create the placeholders in the modules and then go back and fill in the content as you go along. The third approach is very similar to the modules, but instead of focusing on the sequence, the sequential progression of the course, I'm going to look at the calendar items. And so I'm going to hop over to my course calendar. You can access the calendar at any time by clicking on the global navigation. It doesn't matter what course you're in, it'll take you to the global calendar that you have. And here I can focus on a course. So I have teaching with technology selected. You can unselect and select various things. I don't have any due dates that are assignments for this month, and so I'm going to start creating those. So I have my teaching with technology course, and I'm going to say that the first assignment will be due on Tuesday the 6th, for example. And so I'm going to put module 1 assignment. I'm not very creative right now. I have the due date. I can put the start and the time, and I want to determine which course this is for. So I'm going to do teaching with technology. That's the only one I have selected. And then I can just submit that, and that'll create a placeholder for that course. And if I made a mistake, the calendar is really focused more on creating the assignments based on due date than progression or sequence. And so I can just drag and drop this. When I drag and drop an assignment on the calendar, it changes the due date on the assignment page, and on the assignments and discussions page in the course navigation, it would change the due date there. It would change it in the gradebook. It changes it in the modules. It changes it on the syllabus page within the course. Anywhere that there is a published due date and time, then if you make a change anywhere in the course to an assignment, it'll change everywhere. And so that's really great. And so I can drag and drop. A trick that a lot of people don't know is if you look at my calendar here, this is December 2022. This is when I'm recording this. I can scroll ahead to January 2023, and I can take this assignment and I can go ahead and drop that on January 10th, for example. And then when I click on January 10th, I can see it right there. I'm going to take that back to December, and I'm going to drop that back on December 6th. So now when I click on December 6th, then this is a great way that you can easily organize your course according to due dates. And so here I can put my module 1 lab assignment, and I'm not even going to put any details. I'm just going to put the date. Actually, this is an assignment, so I need to put module 1 lab, So it's due on Friday. This is the course. Right now I don't have any groups, and I'm not going to publish it because I need to put the details. I can just hit submit, and this one here, we're going to back up because I made a mistake. That was an event. I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and we're going to instead put that as an assignment. And so this would be module 1 written assignment, for example. I know that on the 11th we're going to have the capstone deliverable, so I'll go ahead into assignment, and I'll put module 1 capstone, go ahead and submit that. And so now I have 3 assignments, and I goofed up and put that on Saturday instead of Friday. Then I can move that around, and the same for discussions, quizzes, it'll all appear right here. And so this way I can create the placeholders according to the calendar when I want things to be due. Maybe I want everything to be due on Wednesdays and Sunday night, or maybe I have deliverables on Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. It just depends. And so I can easily move those around. And when I'm ready to work on one, from this menu, I can click on the edit button and more options. And it's going to take me to that course, to that particular assignment. And now I can start entering in my details. So I'll have my module 1 written assignment, the outline and expectations, what's due, all of the instructions, and then I'll put in my points, my submission types, and my due date. I can specify that. I tend to like, it's just me, but I like if it's due at midnight, I typically put it at 11:59 p.m. on that day, just so it's not confusing. Some people don't know what 12 a.m. means, and it's fine. 11:59, we know that that's very late at night, just before midnight. And so if I have all that ready, let's suppose I have the boilerplate and everything, then I can go ahead and save and publish, or I can save it and keep it in draft state. So that's 3 different approaches for how to create assignments in Canvas. And I want to leave you with some tips and tricks right here. So since I have that assignment pulled up, I went into a Word document and just created a dummy assignment. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this content, and I'll go ahead and copy that shortcut. So I have some instructions, some pictures, hyperlinks, and that's how you might create your assignments. Is first you start in a word processor and then you bring it over to Canvas. And there's some pros and cons to that. A lot of times you might want to just work in Canvas, but if your internet browser shuts down or something, then you might lose your work. And so there's a lot of value to using the word processors that you can sync up to the cloud, whether it's Google Docs or Microsoft 365. Then your work is saved every time you make a change. And so there's some value in that as well. Now let's go ahead and explore. I didn't actually try this ahead of time before I created this video. And I know things have changed in the past few years, but I'm going to go and paste that content. I'm going to paste it not as plain text, which is what I typically recommend to my instructional designers. I'm going to paste it just as is, and you can see that we're missing some elements. So I don't have these visual. I have a banner at the top of the page, and then I have an image right there. That didn't copy over, but generally it does a pretty good job. In the old days when I started in higher education, then if you copy and paste from a Word document, then usually a lot of weird formatting copied over with it, and that's where you get just all kinds of weird stuff that people couldn't explain. And I can see there's a few mistakes, you know, space there, but if I look behind the scenes, then you don't have to worry about this so much. But I can see it copied over pretty cleanly, the paragraphs. Now if something ends up being kind of weird, there's hyperlinks, there's bullet points within other list items, and so there's a lot going on here. And if that ended up being a problem, what I would do is copy as plain, or paste it as plain text, and then that's just the elements without any kind of formatting. And so then what I would have to do is go in to the page and I would copy my hyperlinks. So I'm going to copy that hyperlink, and then I'd have to go into find that place, and you can, let's see, click on the hyperlink button up here, and that's where I'd paste my hyperlink and click done. And I'd have to do that for each hyperlink that I wanted. Maybe I want a little bit of space in between there. I'm noticing that it's just a line break, and so if I delete that, create one paragraph, and then hit enter, then it separates it paragraph by paragraph. If I triple click on this, you can see the distinction of the paragraphs. And if I wanted to copy the banner over. Let's look at that real quick. So I have a banner that I created for this particular assignment, and I'm going to go ahead and save the picture. So save picture as, and I'll just choose a place on my computer to save that. And then where do I want it on my screen? I'm going to put my cursor there. And as of me recording this video, the approach that I have to do is I have to upload it into the Canvas course. But very soon in beta right now, we have drag and drop capabilities. So be mindful that in the future, that's going to be an option that I can just save it to the computer, and then I'll be able to drag it onto my assignment page. For right now, I'm going to click on the image icon, and I'm going to upload an image. So I'll drag it and drop it right here. I have my banner, and I'm going to say, well, let's just call it a decorative image. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just aesthetics, and I'll go ahead and submit that. And now I have my banner. If I click on image options, then I can change that to a percentage of the page, or I can create, I can have it be a certain amount of pixels. I don't want it to be larger than the actual file is, because then it'll be pixelated. And so 672, I think that's fine for me. And it's not published yet, and so I'm going to go ahead and save and publish this. And now I'm good to go. It takes me back to my calendar. And so once I have all my placeholders for the course in the calendar, then I can click on each of these and I can go to edit, and I can put in my details and then save it and then come back to the calendar and work on the other one. And if you have more than one class, then a good thing to do is color code the classes. And so if I click on this and say, here's another assignment, this is also a module 1 written assignment, but this is for a different class, so I'd have to determine which class am I creating it for, and then I'll go ahead and submit that. Now I have 2 assignments, and you notice the colors are different, and that's intentional for me, that I want them to be very different one from another so that I can distinguish which assignment is for which class. And I can toggle these on and off as well if I wanted to focus on one particular one. And if I wanted to look at the agenda, then this is a sequence according to the date, and I can see when things are due for which class. And again, I can also toggle those on and off. So I hope that this video really helps you and guides you as you're starting to create your assignments in Canvas. And if you appreciated this content, then I think that you'll also appreciate this video right here, which is 5 Canvas tips and tricks that I think every professor should know. You can also check out my tutorials on howtocanvas.com for more basic tips and tricks as well as advanced features as well. So I'll see you next time, and until then,
Happy teaching and learning.